What's up, party people? So I saw a comment on my last video that said that I should check out the announcements on the Dekaron Discord, and I actually ran into something that's really interesting. There's this new post by GM Housekeeping. By the way, I've never seen GM Housekeeping before, but I think that's a funny name, and hopefully this GM will be doing some housekeeping when it comes to Dekaron. Anyway, here's the post. Add everyone. You asked for a poll, and we listened. So tell us what you want in-game. Here's a list of the most talked about subjects I have seen. If you have a suggestion to add, I will consider that and add it. You can cast a vote as many times as you like by using the 100 emoji. If you only like one idea, add an emoji to that idea. If you like all the ideas, emoji them all. Now, this is really interesting because I want to read through these actual suggestions, and they're very uncharacteristic of Dekaron. So let's take a look. Let's see which one of these we might want. In-game GM run events such as Monster Spawn, Find the GM, Kill the GM, Kiss the GM. I don't know what kissing the GM is. And apparently that's GM Fenrir's favorite. Now, personally, guys, I don't really like the GM events, mostly because most of the time, if it's like the Kill the GM event, there's like way too many people, and it's like it's complicated to click on the GM. And with the Monster Spawn events, it's like way too laggy. The hide and seek, I just don't find any of this interesting personally, so this is not something that I would be into. If the GMs found a more interesting event in game, I would vote for that, but as of right now, I don't really care that much about GM events. I don't really find them that fun. Now, easier in crafting upgrades on epic and rare items. For example, horn upgrade or chaotic necklace. I mean, this is like, so they suggested accessories here, and honestly, I don't have a huge issue with the horn upgrade or the chaotic necklace upgrade, because if you farm enough, eventually you'll be able to get those. However, easier upgrading on, epic gear like Heffron and Helion and like the weapons and stuff in game, I do feel like the crafting system could be easier and more rewarding for players instead of as unrewarding it is right now. I mean, a lot of players won't even try to craft anything because you can save up all these items, you can save up all this money, and you can literally walk away with nothing. Now, that's part of the appeal of Dekaron, is that it's hard, but I don't think it should be that hard. However, if there were upgrading accessories, or upgrading items like graces and stuff farmable in game, then I don't really have an issue with the upgrade system because, you farm and you try to upgrade. But once again, I guess that kind of loops back to the fact that you could spend 100 hours farming these items and then walk away with nothing, and I really feel like that's something that should be looked at for sure. So I am going to... I guess I'm going to vote this one up only because it's about upgrading epic and rare items. I don't really agree about the horn and the chaotic necklace, though. So, number 3, more drops of epic materials and epic items such as Helion and Heffron loot in open worlds such as Shangri-La and Matera. Yes, 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 yes. Now, this comes back to what I've said before about making, playing, worth it, right? Like, give us something to farm. Give us a reason to go on and play. Don't just add stuff to the D shop so people go on and they buy stuff and no one's actually playing anything in game. That's dumb. Now, stuff for upgrading epic materials, yes, super important. Or for, actually crafting those epic materials, yes, super important. But items such as Helion and Heffron loot in the world would be absolutely great. I mean, let's take a look at some of these dungeons that, no one plays. Like, how cool would it be if you could go farm a dungeon and you have a chance to get, a +8 or a +9 Heffron or Helion weapon? That would be really cool. I'm not saying it has to be a +10 there, but that would give an alternative to some of the other players who are unable to actually enhance items because of how pay-to-win those enhancement items are. So something like that would be really cool. Definitely voting that up. More open worlds to farm in at higher levels. I mean, more content is always good. Higher level maps would be fun. I'm not going to disagree with that. However, I don't think that needs to be a major priority right now. PvP events such as Coliseum and a siege upgrade. So here's my thing with PvP, guys. Right now, PvP has a major divide between paying and non-playing players, or even players that pay a little bit, right? It's just you've got, the top 20, 30, however many players that put a ton of money into the game and are untouchable compared to everyone else because of the pay-to-win nature of the game. So as a result, I don't think PvP events are going to fix anything. I think you need to look at making items more available to people, and then PvP will be more fun. Having Coliseum back would be good, but honestly, a lot of the PvP stuff in the game is fine just the way it is. is. It's just that there aren't a lot of people doing it because a lot of people cannot reach that end game, PvP setup because it requires way too much money. So yeah, this is okay, but I really feel like first we need to look at making items more accessible to all players, so I will not be voting that up. 6, premium D-Shop items available to purchase at a lower price point with gacha boxes or random boxes only being a second option if you enjoy to gamble. 100%. Those random boxes are super annoying. Most people do not like them. I understand they make a lot of money off of them, but your players are going to be a lot happier if they could just buy the item that they want. Like why do you have to go through these random boxes to get some item? It's terrible. I really hate it. Although I still think the D-Shop should be more cosmetic than items giving you boosts in game, but that's just kind of how it goes. Number 7, a joint DK server between Tristy and Helion ASAP. I'm going to strongly disagree with this one just because Tristy is way ahead of Helion right now in terms of gear. I mean, and for example, let's look at the MC3, right? Like, tons of people in Tristy have MC3s right now, which Helion just got the ability to maybe get an MC2. And the only reason that there are so many MC3s on Tristy is because there was a massive duping issue with all the items, and it flooded the market with MC3 materials. That's the only reason there's that many MC3s, because farming the MC3 is far from realistic for a group of people. I mean, it's realistic, but the thing is you need, like, a good party to do it, and you have to, like, farm the helmet, like, one at a time for each player. It's like, if you don't have, like, a strong, close group of friends to do that, it's just completely unrealistic for it to actually happen. I'm pretty sure whoever suggested this is probably on Tristy server and just bored. I doubt anyone on Helion wants anything to do with Tristy server right now, so I'm going to go ahead and strongly disagree with that one. Improved drops in dungeons at higher levels. Not even at higher levels. All dungeons should have their drops reworked. All dungeons should have their drops reworked. Make the dungeons worth farming. Give dungeons a purpose. Personally, I would go dungeon by dungeon and give the dungeon a reason to exist. Why is this dungeon here? What do you farm in this dungeon? Maybe one dungeon is good for farming R-gates. Maybe another dungeon is specifically good for farming dill. Another dungeon is good for farming crests. Make the dungeons have a purpose. If you give each dungeon a reason to exist, then more people are going to be running them. Honestly, I think that's more important than adding new dungeons, is fixing the current dungeons that we have, because we have some cool dungeons. Make them better. That's what I feel, personally. So I'm going to go ahead and definitely vote that one up. More repeatable quests for level 195 plus. Yeah, I mean, more quests to do, maybe make some repeatable quests that are actually good for experience. That would be really nice. I still think it's ridiculous how hard it is to get to level 200. I know people are going to say, just go out there, farm, do that. And it's like, yeah, you'll get that eventually. But to be honest, unless you're willing to commit money to stuff like Arcadia protections, holy water, experience boosting items, and runes, getting to level 200 is a nightmare. It's an absolute nightmare unless you're willing to spend money. And I think it's terrible to lock a very large portion of players out of the game just because they don't want to spend money. And I think if you had more people level 200, you'd have more people willing to spend stuff on, like, stuff for Grandmeister skill books, although I think those should just be farmable as well. So, yeah, I guess more repeatable quests for, 195 plus is good, but overall, I still think it should be easier to get to level 200. DK square point improvement for ranks. I do not have an issue with how the rank system is with DK square currently. Once again, I think a large portion of people who want to play the game are locked out of the ability to PvP because they can't keep up financially. And I think if they fixed that, PvP would be so much better in this game. When I was playing Helion server during the first few days of release, it was so much fun to just go around and PvP people because people are on the same level. And, I mean, maybe not skill-wise, but in terms of gear and stuff, so you're not losing to someone just because they spent $1,000 on the game more than you. You know what I mean? Like, so I don't think this needs to be changed. All I personally think is that PvP needs to be made more accessible to players who spend less. I'm not even saying for players that spend nothing, just players that spend less. Because right now there's so many random things, so many things you have to spend money on that unless you spend tons of money, you're not going to compete with people who are, higher up in game. So I'm not going to vote that one up. 11, more ways to obtain premium items or services without purchasing DKC. 100%. Dekaron really needs to look at this. I've said it like 5 times, 6 times in this video. They're locking out so many players from being able to enjoy the game just because they make this huge divide between paying and non-players. Like, it's not even like a little divide. It's like a gigantic divide. So it like really turns off people from playing the game, including myself, because I don't want to spend thousands of dollars on the game. I don't think I should have to spend that much money to enjoy a game. You know, my personal opinion. Anyway, battle support disabled on certain channels like the DK server. I think maybe having a server dedicated to not having battle support would be really nice, because I know when people are playing the game and like trying to quest and stuff like that, or just trying to farm, like every square inch has someone running battle support, and I think it looks really bad for the game, and it's not fun for players who come in. Like, for example, if you're trying to do your Meister quest in Matera, you have to kill specific monsters with specific skills, but if you run into the Matera map, like, all the monsters are taking, so it's really hard, and a lot of times if you try to, like, jump in somewhere, someone just PKs you anyway. So it does become very different, or difficult, and I do think this is actually a pretty good idea. And I'll vote that one up as well. So yeah, this is really interesting. I don't know what's going to come of this, guys. If I had to add anything to this list, I think I already mentioned a couple things. One of my biggest things would just be balancing the strength of paying and non-playing players. Dekaron has a super cool and unique combat system unlike any other MMORPG, and if it was more accessible to players, there would be a lot more people playing. It's a lot of fun, and it's fun to explore the classes, play through the different characters and kind of find out what they're like. Another suggestion I actually have would have to do with resetting your skills and your Meister skills. I think it should be free, in terms of, maybe not in terms of like dill cost, but I don't think you should have to spend money. I think a large portion of exploring in this game is locked out because people aren't willing to spend money to reset their skills, reset their stats, spend money to reset their Meisters. And I would personally love to, explore some of the other builds and some of the other trees, but I'm just not willing to spend the money to do that. A lot of other MMOs have this for free, and I really think Dekaron should consider it as well, or at least for like a dill price or something. If they're trying to keep down dill influx in the game, make it cost like 1 billion dill or 1 million dill or something like that. And then the other one, as I mentioned earlier too, is I think you should make it easier to get to level 200, because a lot of people can't even touch Grandmasters because they're not willing to spend money. I think a lot of this, it just comes down to making Dekaron less pay to win. Like, that's basically what it comes down to. I know it's hard to do that when you have players who shelled out thousands of dollars, and if that's the community you're catering to, I understand that. They're the ones keeping the server going. They're the one who are paying the bills. But if you want to get new people in the game, and you want to get people excited about the game, and you want Dekaron to be thought of as a good game, you're going to have to change that. And that's my honest opinion. Anyway, guys, let me know what you think about these, and let me know if you have any other suggestions that you would add to this list in the comments. I'll be very excited to hear about that. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video, and until next time, take care.